What is up, guys, and welcome back to the 18th episode of the Kid Kritic Mvie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff. And as always, we got a whole bunch of other movie news and also some show news because Game of Thrones is back in the news once again. I mean, this has been a total roller coaster ride, and especially this past week. I'm sorry I did not upload an episode last week. Well, actually, I did, but I was also late with that one. But this has been very busy for Kid Kritic. But don't worry, he's had his reviews, he's had his trailer reactions, there's tons of Kid Kritic everywhere, and it doesn't matter. There's only like 3 of you listening to this, anyways. But again, we got a bunch of movie news to talk about, and I mean, it's absolutely insane. No, we're not going to talk about the Ant-Man 3 and the Spider-Verse 2. That's going to be for next week. But we are talking about the Pirates reboot. We are going to talk about Rise of Skywalker. We are going to talk about Benioff and Weiss leaving the Star Wars universe. We are going to talk about Game of Thrones. So go get a snack and enjoy this installment of the Kid Kritic Mvie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff. And as always, let's start this podcast.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Han Solo. I'm Captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Bond.
Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Hasta la vista, baby.
Say hello to my little friend! Here's Johnny!
And here we go.
What is up, my fellow Kid Kritic fans and my newly incoming Kid Kritic fans? I hope all of you are having a wonderful week. I am currently recording this on a Tuesday, but I am not talking about Ant-Man 3 or Spider-Verse 2 news like I said before. And no, I'm not talking about Terminator Dark Fate bombing at the box office. I will be talking about that on this weekend's episode. Yes, I will upload the 19th episode of the Kid Kritic Mvie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff this weekend. So make sure you look out for that because it's going to be a fun one. So without further ado, let's talk about some movie news because I have nothing else to really talk about. I mean, you want to learn about my day? I mean, I want poop. I ate some food. I did other things that will probably bore everyone to death. So let's talk about movie news because it's much more interesting. So let's talk about this. Pirates of the Caribbean, yo! It's getting a reboot. That's right. It is getting a reboot, folks. Now, I gotta be honest with you. I really like that first Pirates movie. That movie's awesome. I don't mind the next two. Like, the second one I thought was fine. The third one I thought was fine. You know, I thought they were fun movies. The fourth one was an absolute travesty. And the fifth one, I hated. Oh my goodness. They made Jack Sparrow into a character. Like, it was just... The fifth one was just so bad. By the way, you can go check out the review of Young Kid Kritic, you know, back in the day. Back in the day, it was only 2 years ago. Come on now. But anyways, Pirates of the Caribbean is getting a reboot, and it is confirmed that Disney has brought on Emmy-winning Chernobyl creator Craig Mason and Ted Elliott. Awesome, as you guys know, I'm in love with Chernobyl. I've talked about it a lot on this podcast. Not lately, but I've talked about it a lot. And they also co-wrote the first 4 Pirates films. That is right. I think I talked about it, that these writers, I mean, because, like, the first 4 films, so they didn't work on the 5th one. That's good. But the 4th one wasn't very good. But, I mean, I like that. I mean, they've already had some sort of involvement, so that's good. And let's see. And this also comes after. And then they're getting Rhett Reese and Paul Warnick, who were the Deadpool screenwriters who were originally hired to write the script for a 6th movie but dropped out earlier this year. This film is in early development stage with producer Jerry Bruckheimer expected to return to the Johnny Depp-steered franchise. Depp launched this film as okay, and then it goes on and rambles up some more. So I don't know if Johnny Depp is coming back, but they're calling this a reboot. Like, I'm confused a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit confused. But I mean, look, whether you like these movies or not, Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow is an icon. Like, he is. If you show that image of him as Captain Jack Sparrow and you put it up to someone's face, you're like, who is that? everyone will guess Captain Jack Sparrow just as easily as you get like a picture of Joker. They're like, oh, that's Joker. I think that's how iconic and popular that the character is. And to be honest, though, even with his problems, I think the credit on how popular this character became, I think you should give the credit to Johnny Depp because he was just so good. I mean, he was even nominated for an Oscar. Now, is the character annoying as the films go on? Yes, absolutely. But I think what he did so well in the beginning was just, he made this character just, there's so much depth to him, but yet he was still Jack Sparrow. He was still that drunken fool, but there was still some heart to him. And I think they really got away from that in the later installments. But if I were to be honest, even it's not like the fifth film, even though I hate it. It's not like it did horrible. I mean, it made $794.8 million. I mean, yes, is it a step down from the previous films? Yes, because I mean the fourth one made $1.046 billion. But however, Dead Men Tell No Tales had a hold on. I think it had a budget of $230 million, so it obviously made its money back. But I think I probably would have taken... Dude, that movie's 2.5 hours. That's insane. But I would have probably taken a crack at a sixth movie. I mean, look, I think people might be just... They're probably just over these movies, possibly. They're probably just like, no, I'm not having it. They're probably in the same case that the Transformers movies are. I mean, I definitely enjoy the Pirates franchise way more than the Transformers franchise. However... I mean, look at Bumblebee. Bumblebee was awesome, and the reason why that movie didn't make a whole lot of money was because people were tired of the horribleness that was the Transformers movies, and because Last Night was just horrendous. The Age of Extinction was horrible. Dark of the Moon was alright. Revenge of the Fallen stinks, and the first Transformers is okay. But, I mean, you definitely saw, like, the box office was with the Transformers franchise that people are just over it. And you might be seeing the same thing for Pirates, even though they're still making money. And I probably would have taken a crack and tried to have made another good, solid entry into this franchise and see what would have happened. But, I mean, I don't really care other than that, to be honest with you. I mean, if Johnny Depp does not come back, I mean, there's a lot problems he's having right now. But if Johnny Depp does not come back, I think if Johnny Depp does not come back, I don't see this reboot making as much money as the previous installments in this franchise. Even I think the lowest one in this is the first one, which made $654.3 million, and that was the first one. But I don't see this reboot making more or as much as the previous installments if Johnny Depp does not return as the role, because again, he has that star power as Jack Sparrow. But it's a risk because he has a bunch of problems and his movie might get bad publicity, but then again, all publicity is good publicity, so we'll see what happens there. So let's move on to another thing that Disney owns, which is almost everything, and that is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I already got my ticket seeing it Thursday night. The trailer just came out last week. Make sure to go check out that trailer reaction. But the box office projections have come out for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and to be honest, they're right around where I thought it would be. So let's see. Box Office Pro shared its report for the upcoming Star Wars flick. That's anticipated there, and the pre-sales are doing great. It broke a lot of pre-sale records. It broke Endgame's record for the first hour. So currently, they said that The Rise of Skywalker will earn between $185 to $225 million. And then it says as its overall domestic gross, it will earn upwards of $750. Okay, and I gotta be honest, I agree. This movie's not gonna look. If your movie has Star Wars in the title, you're most likely going to be successful. Now, I do think this movie, I'm guessing 210. 210 is my guess. I do think overall, worldwide, it will make, if it's good, overall, I think this movie will make more than Last Jedi, which is, I believe, 1.3 billion, which is a lot of money. I mean, if it's good, I see this movie making 1.7. To be honest, but if it's mediocre, let's say around Last Jedi. But if it stinks, I see it. I see it like probably a little bit lower, like probably like 1.2 billion. It's not like that's a failure at all. But I mean, there's just so much writing on this movie, coming off of Last Jedi, which was very divisive, coming off of Solo, which tanked at the box office, even though it was well received and I enjoyed it. And I mean, it's just because Last Jedi it was divisive and Solo had a low box office doesn't mean that this movie's gonna fail. But this movie has to be good. It has to be good. I mean, not only is the fan base depending on this film, but also Kathleen Kennedy's job is depending on this movie. Because in my opinion, look, I like Kathleen Kennedy a lot. I mean, if you look at her resume, I mean, she has produced some epic all-time classic movies. I mean, she's obviously directed. She's obviously produced a lot of Spielberg movies, a lot with George Lucas, obviously. I mean, she was a producer of E.T. She was associate producer on Poltergeist. She was associate producer on Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. She was an executive producer on The Goonies, executive producer on Back to the Future, producer on Color Purple, producer on Empire of the Sun, executive producer on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, more Back to the Future movies, Gremlins. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Cape Fear, Hook. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And then you get more into the Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, the Flintstones, the Jurassic Park films, and then you get into the Star Wars movies. And I think she's done a solid job at Lucasfilm. Past tense here. Has she had her problems with the creators and everything, and handling them, and being on the same page with them? Yes, absolutely. But look, as far as quality-wise, in my opinion, I think the movies I'd say for the most part, I've enjoyed them. I love Force Awakens. I love Rogue One. I liked Last Jedi. I definitely have problems with it, but I like Last Jedi, and I actually had fun with Solo. I had some fun with that movie. So I think as far as quality-wise go, I think they've done a pretty solid job, to a pretty darn good job, in my opinion. And as far as money goes, I mean, the movies have made over $4 billion in 4 films, if that says anything. Yes, you have one that tanked, but still, you made over $4 billion. That is a producer's dream. It is absolutely insane. Now, look, she's obviously had her issues, whether it's the Colin Trevorrow stuff, whether it's the Lord and Miller stuff, whether it's the Benioff and Weiss stuff, which we'll get into a little bit, and I'll get it. Well, I guess I should just start talking about it right now, to be honest with you. So Benioff and Weiss, I mean, what a messy transition there, Kid Kritic. So Benioff and Weiss has left the Star Wars franchise. Well, they were supposed to make a trilogy, and then that started to dimmer down a little bit till now, like one movie, and then that's it. They just cut it. But then reports came out that they said that they actually left, or supposedly left, back in May, which is obviously around the Game of Thrones time, which the fan base there isn't doing so hot as well. So, I mean, look, I think, once again, Kathleen Kennedy has done a solid job at Lucasfilm, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, because I've enjoyed the films and they've done well financially. But however, again, when it comes to the creator side, other than J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, she has not really gotten the same page with the other creators, and you definitely see that here. Now, am I upset about this? A little bit, because I love Benioff and Weiss. I know a lot of people didn't like season 8 of Game of Thrones, and maybe that was it. Maybe that's why it was just a done deal there for them to just leave, because of the fan base was just so split over that final season of Game of Thrones that Kathleen Kennedy was just like, I can't have this right now. Just leave. And I mean, look at Colin Trevorrow. He made that movie Book of Henry, which was a movie. I thought the first half was awesome, and the second half just went downhill. But look at that movie. As soon as that film came out, he was gone. So, I mean, this could probably be a reactionary thing. Look at Warner Brothers with the DC stuff. Warner Brothers is awesome, but when it came to the DC stuff, they were very reactionary, and definitely saw a lot of that. And I kind of have the same feeling here when it comes with Kathleen Kennedy. But look, when you look at all the stuff she's done, I mean, she was able to put another Star Wars movie back on screen, which we should, I mean, not only her, but Bob Iger. So we should credit both Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy and George Lucas for agreeing to it. I mean, he's probably sitting in his yacht drinking Mai Tais on his pool and something. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're excited for, like The Mandalorian, like Obi-Wan, like when Force Awakens came out, that's because of her. That's because of her. I mean, yes, she has her flaws, just like anyone does. Just like anyone does. Now, do the flaws outweigh the good? I don't think so, in my opinion. But let's say Rise of Skywalker bombs. Let's say it bombs. Okay, let's say it makes, not bombs, but it does not, it makes around 800 million. Let's say it makes around 800 million. And it's not good. And the fans are just like, screw Star Wars. This is not good. Then don't expect Kathleen Kennedy to be wearing many Star Wars shirts after that, because then I think Bob Iger's just gonna be like, no, I'm sorry, just seeing where the Star Wars fan base and the IP is at, I can't have it. I mean, thank you for giving us The Force Awakens, thank you for giving us Rogue One, even thank you for giving us Last Jedi. And Iger took the blame for Solo there, for placing it in May, but he's like, but thank you, but I just can't. No. I mean, seeing where the fan base is at, seeing how it did financially, seeing how it was quality-wise, I just, no, I gotta look for someone else. Maybe that someone else could be Kevin Feige, obviously not, because he just got promoted. But look, that's a what if. But if Rise of Skywalker is awesome, if Rise of Skywalker does amazing financially, if it regroups the fan base, if everyone is happy and frolicking on Endor with the Ewoks, then we have a different story. Then Kathleen Kennedy, unless she wants to resign and do something else, I think her job is safe if Rise of Skywalker is, I mean, it's gonna do good financially. You're gonna reach $1 billion. I mean, we thought the same thing about Justice League. Look at that happened. And I believe in Kathleen Kennedy. I do. I believe in her. I mean, look at the stuff she's done again. Look at the stuff she's done. So, I mean, I'm a fan of Kathleen Kennedy. I am. Even with the Star Wars stuff. I mean, with creatively, has she done good with the creators? No. But the other, like financially and quality-wise, in my opinion, she's done a solid job. And somebody made this point on one of the shows that I was watching about, that they were talking about this, that she did such a good job. I mean, yes, she had her problems with the creators, but she did such a good job of rebounding from it. Like, Solo could have been a dumpster fire. That could have been another Star Wars Christmas special, but it wasn't. It was an enjoyable movie. And most producers don't have the guts to, or don't have the capability to do that. I mean, do I? Probably not. But, I mean, you just have to give her props for all the things that she's done. I mean, it's insane. And she's definitely one of the best producers out there. And probably one of the best producers of all time, at least in my opinion. So, let's move on to another topic that also has to do with Benioff and Weiss. And that is, well, it doesn't have to do with Benioff and Weiss, but they had something to do with it in the past, but not this. And that is the Game of Thrones prequels. That is right. So obviously you had that Game of Thrones prequel that had to do with like the first encounters with like the Night Walkers and stuff. Yeah, well, with Naomi Watts, well, that's gone. I mean, they already did the pilot. I mean, it's not like this never happens. This happens a lot. It's just that it has Game of Thrones, you know. So that's why it was pretty big. But what ended up coming out of it is another prequel, and that is about the Targaryen Civil War, and it has a full series order for 10 episodes, and the spot-on title is House of the Dragon. I love this way more than the other idea. I mean, look, was the other prequel series with Naomi Watts? I mean, that sounds really cool, but this Targaryen stuff. Yes, absolutely yes. I love this. I absolutely love this. I mean, whenever I heard it in Game of Thrones, I was like, I want to know more. I just want to know more. And then we're getting this, and yes, this is absolutely amazing. Now look, am I bummed that the White Walker prequel is canceled? Yes, a little bit, but I mean we're getting the Targaryen prequel. That's amazing. Now what would have happened? Well, maybe they didn't love the idea. Maybe they loved this idea of the Targaryens way more than the other prequel. But then you'd be thinking, well, why can't they do it both at the same time? Well, maybe they just didn't have the budget, or maybe it just looked like hot garbage. Or maybe they're like, you know what, HBO just thought maybe this isn't the time to do it. And if I were Kathleen Kennedy, again, I love Kathleen Kennedy, maybe she should take notes and not be like, oh no, this is not looking good. Midway or 3/4 are almost done with production. At least they did it on the first episode. Again, I love this idea, and I cannot wait to see it on HBO. I mean, I love HBO. I mean, they're one of the OGs, and I cannot wait to see what happens there. I mean, there's so much coming that I cannot wait for. Apple TV, Apple TV Plus or whatever, just came out last week. So, I mean, I'm not getting it because Disney Plus comes out next week. Yeah, the Lady and the Tramp live action. Can't wait for that. But I'm not gonna lie, Lady and the Tramp actually looks really good. I think that movie looks adorable. But anyways, that's it. Wow, shorter episode. But I just felt like I should save the Ant-Man 3 and the Spider-Verse 3 stuff and the Turning Dark Fate stuff and all the other stuff that came out today. It's going to be a good episode this weekend, so make sure to look out for that. But even though this episode was like around 25 minutes, I thought we talked about some good, I mean, we only talked about 4 topics. But I mean, the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, again, I love her. I think she's awesome as a producer. But she, again, just like everyone, she has her flaws. But if she messes up with Rise of Skywalker and it doesn't turn out so good, yeah, I think the Star Wars shirts are gonna. I don't think she's gonna be wearing those much more after. But if it's great, then awesome. So tell me down in the comment section below, what did you think of the topics that we covered today? What did you think of the Kathleen Kennedy stuff? Are you a fan of her handling Lucasfilm? What do you think about Benioff and Weiss leaving Star Wars? What do you think of the Rise of Skywalker projections? What do you think of the Pirates reboot? What do you think about HBO and the Game of Thrones prequels? Tell me all about that because I'd love to know, because conversations are amazing. So with that said, don't forget to like and subscribe because that is very important. And as always, in every single episode of the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast, by the way, make sure to follow Kid Kritic on Instagram at KidKritic1. And as always, in every single Kid Kritic Movie Podcast, where we talk about movies and all that other fun stuff, look out for the next episode of the Kid Kritic Movie Podcast. And peace.